Today we're going to go over the GL, show you the new interface, talk about some of the changes. So we're in the accounting section, General Ledger module, and we're going to cover the GL summary, journal entry process, released and post process, bank reconciliation, and the new feature GL consolidation. So let's jump into GL summary. So the GL summary screen is a combination of the old GL account balances and general ledger activity screens, bringing it into one place. And it makes it easy for you to jump to different periods. Let's go in there so you can see. You want to look at it monthly, quarterly, yearly, some custom period, and look at the balances in the different periods. And even drill down and see all the transactions that happened. Looking at your debits and credits and information on there. And as we add the AR and AP sides, you'll be able to drill down to audit that information even more. The GL summary really is pretty simple, straightforward. Not a lot of explanation required here. You can set up all of your accounts and see those balances in any period that you select. Do you have any questions on GL summary or changes that we're bringing to this screen and other areas related to GL summary? Doesn't look like it. So next, we'll go ahead and jump into the new journal entry screen. So in the journal entry, we'll cover the general journal entry at the end. So we'll go through the standard, recurring, and automatic distributions. So standard journal entry, if you have transactions that happen sporadically, common transactions that you want to set up all the necessary information for those and make it easy to record it later, this is where you'll define those standard entries. Put in the reasons, the descriptions, indicate if it's based on the dollars or percentages, put in the different GL accounts that are impacted and the debits and credits that are related to that. And once this is defined, you can just select that transaction to post to your journal as often as you need to. The recurring journal entries are similar to the standard, except they happen at consistent frequencies, whether that's monthly, annually, semi-annually. You can even do biweekly and daily if needed. And just like the standard entries, you can put in the reasons and information. With this one, you can indicate when it starts and ends, put in the GL account numbers, the debits and credits for the related accounts. And then based on your frequency, it will show up in a list, which I'll show you when we get into the general journal entries, show up in a list so you can automatically record those and not forget the regular reoccurring entries. Automatic distributions, again, similar functionality or layout where you put in the reasons, enter the accounts into the system. But these transactions are automatically presented excuse me, in the closing process when you finish the period. And this way, they show up for you to automatically put into your journal without having to go generate those transactions or look for those transactions independent. Once you have your standard entries defined, recurring entries set up, and automatic distribution set up, you probably won't spend a lot of time touching those. You'll do most of your transactions in the general journal entry screen or in the tab here. And it will let you see a list of the transactions. You can drill into those, review the details of anything that you have. If you want to set up a new one or enter a new one, you can click to add a journal entry, indicate if it's a manual where you're going to just set it up all the details right now, or pull from one of the standard, you can do that. Or you can also generate recurring entries, which will show you a list of the recurring entries as of the date that you selected, and you can pick and choose which get applied because you have all the relevant information right here. And like I said, the automatic distribution happens when you close the periods. it will bring that information forward to you. Any questions on journal entry? Question is, can you import journal entries from a spreadsheet? Yes, journal entry import is possible, which would allow you to have some external transactions generated by external systems and bulk import them. Some companies can use that for things like payroll processing or anything like that. Then let's go ahead and jump into the release and post screen. So this is kind of a safety net for your general ledger, because what's on the general ledger is law and you don't want to touch it if you don't have to. And yeah, the system's set up to make it easy for your material processing and production, but you have lots of transactions that are going on from a bunch of different sources, and this is your safety net where you can set up stopgaps to review the transactions before they make it to your GL. And for each category of transaction, you can indicate if you want it to just flow straight through to the GL because you know the processes, it's completely internal, there's not going to be any mistakes, so I don't even want to review it, just put it on the GL. For any that there might be mistakes, you set it up so that it catches it here, both at the receiving process and at the posting process. Excuse me, so you can review those transactions before sending them to the GL. So in the new UI, similar to the old in that you can see all of the categories, but we've made it so that any category that has transactions are moved to the top, and it's easy to drill down into each individual section. So for example, I can go in and see anything that needs to be released, and I have a list of all of these transactions, click on it to see the details. If I have a transaction that's showing up that looks like it's violating my rules as far as prior and post posting, or prior or future posting rules, it'll flag those for me so that I don't accidentally put something in the wrong period. I can also go into the posting side and see those transactions that have been released, and this is kind of the final stopgap. You've released it, are you ready to post it? Put your information on there and take it all the way to your GL. Hopefully this process will allow you to optimize the flow so that you don't have to check every transaction, but still bring to your attention any potential concerns so you can catch it before it gets to your GL, reducing the amount of cleanup that you have to do. And from here, once you've verified all of the transactions for the current period have been released and posted, you have the ability to close those transactions or close the periods from here. The question was raised, can you still release and post in one transaction? If you don't have the stopgap on posting, just on releasing, then when you release it, it will be posted. And let's go ahead and jump into bank reconciliation. Bank reconciliation is as simple as we can make it. A simple way to review all deposits and payments. And when the bank says that they're cleared, you can check them off from here. So you simply select the bank that you're reconciling. If you have multiple accounts set up, you can do that. The statement date, ending balances, information from the statement on deposits, payments, and interest and charges. And then you can see, right now I have selected the deposits tab, so I can see all of my deposits, any insufficient funds, journal entry information, check off those that the bank has seen. Jump over to my payments, review any payments that have cleared, journal entries that have cleared, or transactions that you need to have on there. And then you can add any notes, and similar to the notes that we saw in other areas in a previous webinar, you can, as you enter the notes in here, date, time, and initials every post. You can attach files, you can scan documents to access them. So you could even take a picture of your bank statement itself and have that as part of the reconciliation process. Other than that, it's pretty simple, straightforward, similar to what is in the system now. Do you have any questions related to bank reconciliation? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Then we will jump into the last section, which is the GL consolidation. Now, this is a brand new feature and applies to companies that have multiple divisions. This is a way, through the standard reporting, you can see how each division or each installation has done with all of the GL accounts that you set up. With GL consolidation, it allows you to set up or generate your balance sheet, trial balance, income statements, AR information, and cash flow. Indicate the periods, years, period, and then select the divisions that you want to include. And then generate the reports, or the indicated report, for the selected divisions, allowing you to report for individual divisions, for if you have, like some companies might break it up to geographic location and say these locations in the Northeast, these locations in Silicon Valley, or whatever. So you can do the reporting that way. It's for the regions, and then also corporate wide and include transactions from every system. And this is not a separate system that you have to set up. It's just pulling it from the different installations that you have and combining the full transactions. Additionally, related to that, we looked at it before, when you have it set up and have the different locations set up, users can jump into the different divisions. So I'm in my home division, or the one that I typically log into, and I have all my financial reports and I can do my consolidation. But if I wanted to go in and do any of these transactions for the other divisions, I would simply change the location that I'm connected to and do the transactions in there. But if I want to just do my overall reporting, I can do that from the GL consolidation. Any other questions related to GL consolidation? Question is, the consolidation will pull from different Mannix installations. That is correct. In MX, when you define the different installations, you put in the necessary information, and the systems will now communicate with each other so that you can check inventory status at the different locations, you can pull financials from the other locations, and so this will actually go in and pull the data out of the other divisions, whichever ones you've selected, so you can do the reporting. Question, do all sites have to be on the same version of Mannix? They will all have to be on MX so that they have the necessary code to share the data. As far as whether or not, once we have multiple versions of MX out there, that's also a good question. It would probably depend on the function you're doing and whether or not that has changed in the different divisions or the different versions. And so the functions may not work properly if they're on different versions. So ideally, you'd have all your divisions on the same version, but they definitely will all have to be on MX. Another question, how are divisions defined? So each division actually has its own database and login. You can set up a single login screen and jump to the different divisions, but they all have their own installation that they are running, and so they'll have it can synchronize information so that you don't have to maintain it in a bunch of different places, but they all have a separate GL. Even if they're the exact same account numbers, they all have a separate GL with the balances for each of their GLs, and then this consolidator combines that information for the reporting. All right, that covers all the items and polling questions that I have for today. We've basically finished the GL transactions, and we're getting ready or starting the design of the AR and AP stuff. And so it's good to have these user feedback right now, user input, so that we can make sure we incorporate that overall.